Welcome back to Reddit Story Time. Today we have 4 incredible stories. Let's dive right in.
Story number 1. Neighbor kept stealing gas, so he got a disgusting surprise. Imagine discovering that your neighbor has been casually walking into your backyard stealing gas from your lawnmower fuel can and using it for his own car and mower. That's exactly what happened to this poster. They started getting suspicious when their 5-gallon gas can was always nearly empty every time they went to mow the lawn. Keep in mind, the lawnmower only had a 1-quart tank. So someone was going through a lot of gas. This was back before cheap security cameras were everywhere, so they got creative. They set up a webcam on their laptop with motion detection software, and sure enough, they caught the neighbor red-handed walking into the backyard literally 5 minutes after they left the house. So what did they do? They could have confronted him, called the police, filed a report, but no, they chose revenge the next week. Every time they needed to use the bathroom, they peed in that gas can instead. It filled up, still smelled enough like gasoline to fool an idiot, and then they set it right back on the patio. They made a big show of checking their car's fluids, packing bags, making sure the neighbor knew they were going on a trip and would be gone for a while. They wanted him to take the bait, and take it he did. They came back home about an hour later claiming car trouble, and what did they see? The neighbor was in his front yard, pulling the starter rope on his lawnmower so hard it looked like he was going to have a stroke. He was turning bright red, cursing, completely baffled as to why his mower wouldn't start. Then it got even better. The neighbor got into his car, made it a couple of blocks up the road, and then it broke down too. Our hero checked the gas can on the patio, empty. The neighbor had used the tainted fuel in both his mower and his car. And here's the cherry on top. This guy wasn't just a gas thief. He turned out to be a genuinely awful person with outstanding arrest warrants. So the poster applied for a sheriff's ride-along program in the neighbor's name, which eventually led to his arrest. Talk about instant karma. You steal from your neighbors, you get exactly what you deserve.
And the verdict, instant karma.
Story number 2. Dealership repoed her car, so she stole their company name. This is the story of Taya McCreary, an Ohio woman whose car was repossessed by the dealership just 1 month after she bought it. 1 month. She'd barely had time to break in the seats. Most people in this situation would feel helpless. They'd hire a lawyer, file a complaint, and hope for the best. Taya did something far more creative. While exploring her legal options against the dealership, she made a stunning discovery. The dealer had failed to renew the registration of their company name with the Ohio Secretary of State. That's right. The business that had just repossessed her car hadn't bothered to maintain their own legal paperwork. So what did Taya do? She registered the dealership's company name in her own name. Then she hit them with a cease and desist order, telling them they were no longer legally allowed to use the business name they'd been operating under since 2012. Let that sink in. A car dealership wronged a customer, and that customer ended up owning the dealership's name. The case is still pending, but the irony is absolutely delicious. And here's an even juicier detail that came out in the comments. A former mechanic at this very dealership revealed that they are notoriously sue-happy, with at least 73 court cases on file at the local municipal court. They are a buy-here, pay-here dealership masquerading as a new car dealer. The mechanic described regularly installing ignition, interrupt devices, and GPS trackers for repossession purposes. So this is a dealership that makes its money trapping people in bad deals and then aggressively repossessing cars. And they picked the wrong woman to mess with, because Taya didn't just fight back. She weaponized their own negligence against them. The dealership that likes to sue lost the rights to its own name. Now that is karmic justice.
And the verdict, brilliant revenge.
Story number 3. Bank locked an innocent customer's funds, so he destroyed their reputation for $3. This story starts with a simple banking inconvenience and ends with one of the most creative revenge plots you'll ever hear. The poster had entrusted their money to a small local credit union. One day, their card stopped working at the ATM. They went inside for help, and a clerk gave them a code to deduct cash directly from their account, a standard feature the bank offered. No big deal, right? Wrong. A few days later, the bank system flagged the poster's account for review, apparently because of an accounting error on the bank's end. The poster hadn't gone into overdraft or done anything wrong. It was the bank's mistake. And yet, for over a month, all their funds were locked. Every time they called support, they were given snarky responses. Some representatives even made hints that they didn't appreciate the poster's foreign-sounding last name. So the poster vented to their family, and a younger cousin came up with a brilliantly devious idea. There are services online, based in Russia, where you can pay people a small amount of money, about 1 Russian ruble per action, which is roughly 1 US cent, to post whatever you want on social media. The service even lets you choose between American-looking profiles and other locales. The poster spent $3, and used some AI prompts to craft a flood of complaints about the credit union. Within hours, the bank's social media pages were inundated with hundreds of negative reviews and complaints from seemingly real American-looking accounts. And it worked. On the very same day, the bank's call center manager personally called the poster. They offered to transfer the full balance plus $50 in compensation to any other bank of the poster's choosing. Problem solved. They even hinted at ending things on a positive note, probably because they realized they had no way to link the bot activity to the actual customer. The poster noted that they couldn't tell the Russian bots to remove the posts, so that cleanup would be someone else's problem now. $3. That's all it took to bring a snooty, discriminatory little credit union to its knees.
And the verdict, $3 well spent.
Story number 4. The corrupt HOA president who embezzled $50,000 and lost everything. When this homeowner moved into their suburban neighborhood, they expected peace and quiet. Instead, they walked into a petty dictatorship run by their HOA president, Todd. Todd was the worst kind of leader. He loved power but hated accountability. He'd fine people $200 for leaving their trash cans out a minute past 9 a.m. But his own yard was full of unpermitted structures and his fence violated city ordinances. His true sin? Using the HOA as his personal piggy bank. The trouble started when the poster's fence was slightly off color because the approved stain wasn't available. Todd fined them $500. They explained, provided receipts, asked for leniency. Todd smirked, said rules are rules, and walked away. That's when they decided to take him down, not with screaming or public arguments. Methodically, legally, and in a way he'd never recover from. Step 1. Become the inside man. They volunteered for the HOA board, playing the eager newbie perfectly. For 2 years, they attended every meeting, took detailed notes, and learned exactly how Todd operated. He bullied other board members, pushed through votes when only his allies were present, and conveniently lost paperwork from dissenting homeowners. Then they discovered Todd wasn't just a bully, he was a thief. Step 2, follow the money. The HOA fees were much higher than comparable neighborhoods, but the common areas were falling apart. The pool was closed half the summer. The landscaping was a disaster. Todd, as treasurer, controlled all the accounts but refused to share financial details. The poster filed a formal request for the records, which Todd was legally required to provide. Weeks passed with no response. Step 3, build the case. When Todd finally handed over the documents, they were a mess, missing invoices, mislabeled payments, bizarre expenses. A $15,000 landscaping fee paid to a company that didn't even exist. The poster cross-referenced bank statements with public records and found the smoking gun. Todd was funneling HOA money to his personal accounts, inflating contractor fees, and splitting the profits with a buddy. Step 4. The coup. At the annual HOA meeting, the room was packed because the poster had spent weeks knocking on doors, getting neighbors fired up. Todd started his usual speech about his sacrifices for the community. That's when the poster stood up, asked him to explain the budget discrepancies, and handed out copies of their detailed report to everyone in the room. The mood shifted instantly. Todd was voted out that very night. Step 5. The final blow. An independent auditor confirmed Todd had embezzled over $50,000. They reported him to the police and filed a civil lawsuit. Todd had to sell his house to pay restitution. His contractor buddy was banned from doing business in the county. And when Todd tried to join another HOA board in a neighboring town, someone Googled his name and he was laughed out of the room. Justice wasn't just served. It was plated, garnished, and savored.
And the verdict, he had it coming.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. See you next time.